Hi everyone, happy Saturday. Just gonna wait for Crystal to come on. Hi.
Hi. You do look cute today. I love it.
Thanks. So do you. I never see your hair straight. I don't think I've ever seen it straight before.
Straightened it today.
I love it.
Thanks.
You're like a smoking mama today.
You will?
I, yes, I love this.
Oh, you're amazing.
Like Two
Best height.
Smoking Mamas podcast, which is called
And you're just all with your little pony and there's like spiciness to it. I like it.
Spicy, lots of spicy in my field. Hello. Okay. How are you feeling?
Well, I
You're
was
gonna have
good.
a laugh attack again?
And then you're like, right before we get on, I'm a little nervous. And then I got like this wave of ungroundedness, but I'm good now. I'm here. I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready for this deep conversation. How are you?
I don't know what it is. I think it's that watching somebody else do a live got into my brain whenever this did. And it's like, oh, that's something that you're really on the spot. And so I manifested this idea through watching other people.
Yep.
When I never even did it. Like I don't know.
Gotcha.
There's like no reason for nervousness. It's just like the idea of whoa, but it's fine. It's all good.
I know. Like, what's really scary about it?
I don't know.
We get on our stories all the time and talk to the screen. It's the same thing.
Exactly.
It's just in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a really good podcast for today. This is all about choosing yourself and following your heart, trusting yourself, knowing being able to follow your purpose in life. And and then we have some stuff to offer you guys at the end. And that's it. It's going to be good. It's going to be juicy.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, we both have a really good story about choosing ourselves. We both have similar stories. So, yeah. Well, let's just get into it. So, for me, choosing myself, like when did that start? I never chose myself in life because I had a really codependent relationship with my mom growing up. So it was always like this major trauma bond going on. And she was an alcoholic, so there was always inconsistent energy from her growing up. So I learned at a very young age that love is inconsistent and it's a disaster. It's all over the place. It's codependent. It's something that you have to prove yourself to get, which then ended up me becoming codependent in relationships. So I was in a relationship with my ex and I realized that we were not happy, and I knew that I wasn't fully happy and I wasn't fully living to my potential.
Mm-hmm.
And I left and I chose myself instead of this perpetual pattern of always choosing somebody else for the relationship. I was like, I'm going to choose myself. Even though I had no idea what I was doing, I literally grabbed my pillow and I was like, I'm gone. And then once I was out, I was like, holy shit, what am I doing?
Yep.
I don't know what I'm doing, but it felt right.
Mm-hmm.
It felt right. Even though I was scared, I did it anyway. And then everything's just gone beautiful since then. It was like a crunchy ride to get here.
Yeah.
But like, I chose myself. So
beautiful.
Yeah, that's like I'm not going to get into the drama behind it all because that's not what we're here for. But that is a good example of sharing like how somebody can choose themselves. It's just like, you'll know like, I have to do this for me. I may not know what I'm doing, but I have to do it for me.
I can relate. I feel like my entire life leading up to the point where I did decide to choose myself, if I didn't make the change, I would have continued to perpetuate a cycle of overgiving and pleasing, because what I was taught as a child was that love is conditional, and you have to act a certain way, you have to do things a certain way, you have to be a certain way, and then you receive the love. And so this played out in my relationships too, and I would like give all of me to the other person to the point where I just completely lost myself.
Yeah.
And so there came that moment in my life where I knew, like in my heart, that there was something better on the other side, but my mind was so scared of taking that step to choose myself, because that's where the panic would set in, right? Yeah. Like what you said, you did it and then you're like, what do I do? So I would like pull myself out with that feeling and be like, I don't know what's on the other side, until one day I just did it and it felt right. Exactly like you said, it was like, this is the choice.
Right.
And it ultimately was the thing that actually like set me free.
So what was it like? So you left your marriage, right?
I did. Yeah.
And what did what did it feel like out? Like, was it when you when you just left, were you scared, or did it feel free, or was it both?
It was both. I knew it was the right choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I, in this exact same part, I did not want to hurt anybody.
Of course.
And that goes back to like the overgiver, you know, the empathetic one. And
yeah.
And the moment that it happened, I went and I had like a panic attack. And I was like, did I just do the right thing? You know, because this doesn't just affect me, it affects 3 other people. So yeah, it was a pivotal moment. It was, yeah, I don't know.
I think society can also put a lot of pressure on us, whether it's not something that's just like verbally said, but it's through the way we should or shouldn't do things.
Yeah.
And we're put in this position of, if we choose ourselves, we're selfish, and we should, like, so it instantly makes us feel guilty.
Yeah.
And obviously not hurting people, like that's obvious, like why you wouldn't want to just hurt somebody. That is obviously something nobody, well, let's hope not many people take lightly.
Yeah.
And to choose yourself when, like, anybody is going to be affected, like it can be your family, whether it's a partner or not, your kids, your parents, you know, friends. But I think there's a right way to do it. It's, you know, maybe in this instant, you and I we had to leave for ourselves, and it had maybe looked really rough on the outside. But I think this needs to be more normalized, that we all have our own lives, right? And it's okay to listen to yourself. Like, we don't have to have this martyr attitude where we must help everybody all the time and do everything for everybody at the cost of ourselves.
Yeah.
Because, like, yes, help thy neighbor and help people and do things, but if it's at the cost of, you know, your own sanity or your happiness at the end of the day, like, that's when we have to stop and say, wait a second. Yeah. Why am I doing this? Yeah. Why am I in this relationship? Why am I helping this person? And like you said, like this over giving and this martyr mentality, it's just, if we all stood with boundaries and knowing our self-worth, all of us collectively would have a better time together, because we would all be a little bit aware of, okay, well, you're going to do your thing, I'm going to do my thing, we'll come together, and it's not pulling pulling on each other, right?
Yeah.
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 I think a lot of people help others to escape dealing with themselves. Like, it's true.
It is true.
It is true. That's a really good point, Ivanka.
I think too, like there's like this illusion that if we give everything to that person, then we're worthy of being loved. But the part that is missing is that we actually come first.
Yeah.
Our needs come first. Self-love comes first. The way that we care for ourselves comes first, because if we are giving from an empty vessel, we will always feel empty. No matter what the other person does, it will never be enough for us either.
Well, I think like that's how resentment can get built up, right?
Yeah,
you can be like, well, I did this and this and this and this, and you ignored yourself, and then you have resentment with somebody else, but it's actually resentment towards yourself, right? And we have to hold ourselves accountable. If I'm going to do this for you, like, can I do it right now?
Yes.
Or am I over giving? Like, where am I right now in my day, in my energy, in my life? Can I give to you? And I know this can be tricky, obviously, like with family and if people aren't well, like this can be tricky.
Yeah.
I know it's not as easy as just saying, well, if I'm not feeling good today, like I'm not going to help you. It's not obviously that easy, but if you can at least check in with yourself before you give, I think that's at least what you owe yourself, right? Just at least know where you're coming from, so you don't build resentment up or hate or anger with the situation, right?
Absolutely.
Being able to be honest.
Yep, absolutely. Being honest is important, and being honest with yourself. And there is, you know what? There is sometimes a level of compromise.
For sure.
Right? And like you're saying, like there is a level of compromise where sometimes life hands us situations where we physically can't be like, oh no, not right now, kind of thing. But it's balance. Yeah.
For sure. Okay. So this will move into being able to trust yourself. So first you choose yourself, and I mean that is a whole thing on its own, right? Being able to choose yourself, put yourself first, go through those motions, and not feeling guilty that you did, and that then builds trust with yourself, right? Trusting yourself, for me, that was not something, again, I ever learned how to do through growing up, again, in the situation with my mom and it being so codependent and not understanding my needs at all, or even being like, I was not my own person. I was so tied into this relationship with her, of her addiction and all the chaos that was going on. I was not in tune with what my needs were anymore, because my needs had been pushed aside for so long that, you know, I just didn't have a true knowing of, well, this is what I need now. Like everything got all messed up. And then I thought what I needed was other people's comfort or other people's attention or other people's validation. Like if you think I'm good, then I'm good, right? And unraveling that is a tricky one, for sure.
Well, and there's safety in that too. Like we feel like that is safety, is like when somebody is standing there to catch us or say that, oh, you're doing a good job, or, you know, keep going, or like we ask someone, is this the right choice? They don't know the answer.
Right.
They don't know what's best for us. So then it becomes this not trial and error, because I wouldn't say that's the right word, but it's like, okay, we are entering a space of expansion. We know what this feels like. And we also know that every single time we've walked through this space, I've held myself through it. So every experience that we carry ourselves through builds that trust within ourselves, right? Like, it's like, how can I choose myself even deeper this time?
Yeah, and it's like the more that you choose yourself, that builds trust, right? And then the more that you are able to trust yourself, it's easier to choose yourself and then know what's right for
Yep.
you. And what's right for you will inherently also be right for other people because you're at your best.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. Yep. When you're listening, when you're listening to your everything that you feel that you need, and you're able to pay attention and do your best to meet those needs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What is what's an experience you can share about trust with yourself and growth?
My business, for sure.
Okay.
This is what's like been coming up in my energy. I launched it in November 2022, and I have felt like I have poured everything into it as best I could, and I didn't feel like the not the payoff, but like the growth of it
Okay.
matched my growth and what I put into it. And what I learned in the last 24 hours is that it's not so much doing, it's being who you are.
Well, I think
And
like who are you who are you?
yeah.
And what do you represent? Yeah. And being that will then ripple out, right?
Yes.
So what changed for you in the last 24 hours?
Well, I launched a masterclass.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I know what it feels like to be that person that is crippled with anxiety, that wakes up sick, that is in fight or flight, can't sleep. I've been there multiple times in my life. And now I'm on the other side of it, where I do maintain regulation in my body. I don't get anxiety. I don't feel overwhelmed and stressed. So it's like, how can I share from a place of experience in a simplified way that is an expression of me, instead of trying to complicate it with what I think it should look like?
Okay.
So I
wraps into you, and like that's you just trusting what you know instead of complicating what you're trying to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Well, good job on launching your masterclass. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And I know we talked about this last week about anxiety and how that's something you understand. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you have to share in your masterclass. I'm really curious.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. So, I think after leaving my relationship and then learning how to trust myself, in between leaving and in between before I left and now, I really have had this calling to, like, I want to help people the way that I've changed. So how I've changed in life has made me want to make that my purpose, or it's just what's come up, right? So me being able to transmute all of my addictions and being so codependent and understanding all this, I'm like, this is gold. Like I can't keep this to myself. And it felt like my calling, like this was meant for other people. Like I'm not just supposed to keep this little secret to myself of this is how I've changed everything. Like it's not even about sitting here talking about myself. It's just like what I was able to do. I don't want to be the only person, right? So it taught me how to have purpose with my life going through all this stuff.
Yeah.
And we have those thumbs up again.
I love it. I love the thumbs up.
Yeah, and it just living on purpose. Like, what does that mean? And I think for me, it means being able to serve in a way where I can help other people and live a life where I'm providing value and where I'm living in my heart and I'm just serving others for the sake of serving others, right? Being able to have a ripple effect of like my healing, your healing, your healing, my healing. Like it's just like a circular energy of give and receive. So yeah, that's I think all these things tie in, right? Like what does it mean to live on purpose? Like are you guys living on purpose? Are you guys living your purpose? I'd love to know what you guys are doing. You know,
And I think, like, what does it feel like? It's like when you're living on purpose or in your purpose, it lights you up. And you're like, you know what? This is my calling. It's like you just know. It's that feeling that you wake up each day and you're like, I got to share this with the world. Just like you said, like, this is gold.
Yeah.
I can't keep this to myself. Like, I know what it feels like to be on this side of addiction. And I also know that it is possible to be in sobriety and actually lead a life of, you know, like wealth and health and happiness and freedom and choice.
Yep.
And I don't think you should keep that for yourself.
No, like this needs to be spread, like sung from the rooftops. Like, absolutely. And I truly want to know, like, how are other people living on purpose? Like, how are you living on purpose?
How am I living on purpose?
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same as you. It's like, I know what it feels like to be in a place of complete unhappiness and depression and needing alcohol to suppress emotion and numb and feel like I've lost myself and give everything away to other people. And I also know what it feels like to have chosen myself and to wake up each day feeling happy and healthy and vibrant and vitality and all the things. And that is how we should feel. Yes. And so for me, helping other people find that, remember who they are, and to live the life that they dream of that's my calling.
It's priceless. And you know, it's funny how we're like, I'm not going to get into this whole other conversation because I could really go off on a tangent about the government and society, but I'll just try to keep it present and on topic. But we're not taught, I'm just going to do a little bit. We are not taught.
Okay.
This is good. This is good conversation.
Yeah.
We're not taught as children to be connected to yourself. Yeah. We're not taught to listen to yourself. We're in these school systems where we're taught a certain amount of information. We're not taught about money, like at all, obviously. Because if we were taught about money, we would not be in this perpetual cycle of debt and like control from people that are higher than the government, etc. You know, unfortunately, like the flavor of life from the mainstream majority people is like, it looks like it's good and you're supposed to be living healthy, but the actual flavor is be in debt, you know, be addicted to alcohol, numb your feelings, smoke cigarettes, do whatever, be, you know
run by the clock. Yeah.
Run by the clock, like live a life. And then when you're 65, you can go on a vacation and you can then feel good. It's like, I don't, like, the amount of shit I've been through already in my life, if I didn't heal it, I don't know if I would have made it to 65 to feel good to go on a vacation and not work. You know, so all of this is to say that we're not taught how to live on purpose. We're not taught to follow our hearts. We're not taught to feel good. Like you said, this vitality feeling that we have access to, nobody talks about that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the coaching business is such a thriving business, is people have tapped into this about like, holy shit, guys, like you guys are, everyone's like missing out. And I'm not saying everybody in the coaching business has this, is in their hearts always and has it all together. But for the most part, this is what it's about. Like, and it's such a it's not regulated because then the government would have to be involved, and then we would have to like admit that like feeling good is free.
Yeah.
And it really is.
It is free.
It's inside of us. We have access to it all the time. You know,
Yep.
It's going to look different for everybody. We're going to have different habits or ways that we feel good, but it's free. And we have life force that runs through us. It's free. We can have it at any time. But we're taught to be scared of it. You know, your emotions, you gotta numb them. Like this isn't a good feeling. No, you're not used to feeling this. How do I feel this today? Right? Like we're not taught these things.
How do I feel this today? How do I allow big emotions that I've suppressed for most of my childhood because it wasn't okay to feel? How do I navigate that in a healthy way instead of trying to run from it every single time?
Yeah. Take a pill and numb it. It's just
and then
I admit I was sorry.
I was just gonna say it manifests as illness in the body.
It does.
Makes us really
it does. And yeah, like I admit I when I was younger and I didn't know how to move through all of the emotions, I did have to go on antidepressants.
Yeah.
So like use me as a testament that you can get off of this stuff. Like I was able to get off all of my medication and be able to regulate my nervous system just by listening and working with my nervous system. It's so possible.
It is possible. And it's, you know what? It's just practice.
It is practice.
It's a daily practice. It's just like brushing your teeth or eating or hydrating. Like you just make it a part of your daily practice, your toolbox full of things that make you feel connected to your center, you know, and yeah, and it is possible. Healing is possible from anything.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
What are some tools that are in your toolbox to help you navigate emotions or stress or whatever comes up in the day?
It's interesting because I have 2 teenagers, and so they're in the prime time of emotion flare-ups, right? Because they're hormonal. So giving them space to express their big emotions and then also showing them that I do it as well. We are never always fully like in control, and being in control can sometimes feel like suppression. So if I get angry, I will verbally say like, I'm angry right now and it's okay that I'm angry, and I'm gonna let it be. I'm gonna let it take up its space. Because one of the things that I learned is that emotions are meant to flow, and if we allow ourselves to feel it, it will release almost just as quickly as it comes, right?
That's so true. What do they say? Like emotions, there's like a certain second that emotions feel for. It's not very long.
No, it's not very long.
Around, don't quote me on this, but I think it's like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Like I could be wrong.
Quick. It's quick.
It's quick.
And then the worst thing, and this is probably more on the point of stress, is anytime we either like hold on to like a thought, a worry, like if we're hanging on to it, what's happening is it's like creating a block in our energy flow. And so it'll just fester. It'll just keep festering, and it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then pretty soon the top of the pop bottle is going to blow, right? So if we give ourselves that space to feel as things come up and allow it to flow, then it'll always just circulate in a healthy way instead of explosion.
What would be some advice that you can give somebody who's never felt an emotion before, and it's just like, okay, I'm listening to this podcast, I'm gonna like listen to you girls like I'm going to do it. Like, what is some advice you can give somebody?
To not be scared of it. I think that a lot of people are very scared to get vulnerable and to give themselves space to feel.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
and the best thing, and what will always happen for you if you allow yourself the space to feel, is it moves so quickly, and there's such a beautiful release on the other side. But if we suppress it, then that's where the problems start. That's where we start to feel crappy, our health declines, we are stressed, we're overwhelmed, we're anxious, we're all the things we don't want to feel, by not allowing ourselves to feel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely was scared. I remember a couple of years ago when I started healing for the first time and feeling an emotion for the first time, and I had all this anxiety, depression, and anger come up, and I just physically like didn't know what to do with it. Like oh my god, like I literally thought it was going to eat me.
Yeah.
Actually, swallow me physically whole, and it's actually not the case. Feeling it is what will release it, right? And yeah, that's wild. What would be something that I could share about what
I
not?
was gonna say that. What would be like your piece of information? You just have to do it.
I would say that just know that it's not gonna swallow you.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you're scared, because I think everyone's gonna be scared, that you're actually like, that's what our bodies are meant to do. Like nothing's gonna happen to your body. Your head is not gonna physically explode.
No.
It's gonna feel like
you're
what?
Not gonna break.
You're not gonna break. Like, know that your body is equipped to deal with big emotions, and it knows what to do. What it doesn't know what to do with is suppression. That's the issue. Is we think that we're not supposed to feel these emotions. Like, we're the only species that suppress emotion, right? So we think that that's what we're supposed to do because that's what we're taught and told, but your body doesn't know what to do with that. So my advice would be that your body knows what to do, and like, let your body take care of you, because your body knows how to hold the emotion for you.
That's a quote. Your
What?
body knows what to do, so let it take care of you.
Okay, there we go. Write that down.
Write it down.
Get a pen. Okay.
I was gonna say, with the suppression, your body stores it and banks it like oh, I'm gonna set it over here in my stomach or somewhere.
Well, because it thinks that something's wrong.
Yeah.
Right? It's a signal to your body that like there's something wrong, and we're supposed to hold on to this because we are supposed to process it.
Yeah, and then down the line, you get triggered.
Yeah, and then you've got the thing waiting over here. It's like, I'm ready.
It explodes.
Yeah.
It explodes, and then you've got an even bigger emotion happening. Right. So.
I love that.
Me too. Look at how much we've learned in our life experience.
Well, I wouldn't say we're like 20, but we can pretend.
What do you mean?
Oh yeah, we are 20. You know what? I went to for my day job, my boss was like, "Can you go get the boys some beer?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so here in Ontario, we have something, I don't know if it's like, I don't think it's like that in BC, but we have something called the LCBO. Okay. And they're like, "Can I have your ID?" And I was like, "Yes, you can. Take my ID."
Yes.
And I was like, "Take it. Yep. Like, card me all day. Yeah. I can pretend I'm 19. Fine."
Great. Yes, I can pass.
Well, I mean, they thought so.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out where we are here.
We are at self-love. Self-love.
One of my favorite topics.
It is becoming a favorite topic of mine. now. Now that I've like learned how to work with it.
Yeah,
Everyone's always like, self-love. I'm like, what the does that mean, self-love? Like, I don't get it, guys. I don't get it.
So what is it, Morgan?
It is caring for yourself. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not complicated. It's not like this big thing of, oh my God. It's literally just caring for yourself and treating yourself with love. Like I know that sounds really rudimentary, but that's literally what it is. Taking care of yourself and loving yourself. And it took me so long to be able to get this. Like, I know it's such a simple sentence, like how I couldn't wrap my head around this idea. The way that I had to learn it was, how would I take care of somebody I love and then mirror that to myself? And how would I care for somebody I love, and how would I love somebody I love? And then pretend that other person was me. And then that's still sometimes,
Doesn't land.
sometimes I was like, but it's like, what do you mean? Like, somebody else is more important. Like this, I had this belief in my head, like, what do you mean take care of yourself? Like, I still couldn't get it. And then I turned it into, well, how would you care for your inner child?
Yeah.
Like my little me, if I had little me in front of me and I was responsible for little me, how would I care for her? And that mixed with thinking about myself as somebody else was the combination of success for me.
I love that. And so
now I love it.
What ways do you practice self-love?
I literally have made my whole life now about self-love. Like it went, and like when I'm not in self-love, I'm like, oh, we are way too far out of the bracket of self-love. Like, come back. I exercise. I work out 4 times a week, and then I do hot yoga once a week. I've got into cold therapy. I go to the spa when I can. I get my hair done when I can. I'll go shopping. You know, like this is something else. Like I'm like, well, why do I hate going shopping? I'm like, it's so much effort. I don't like it. But I'm like,
crazy.
Morgan, it's crazy. But then I'm like, Morgan, okay, wait. How would you want somebody that you love to have nice clothes, comfortable clothes that they love and enjoy? Yes. So then you have to do that for yourself. It might feel like work, but it's because I have ignored myself for so long that it just feels like work. But if my grandma, God forbid, was still alive and she was like, I want to go shopping for myself, I'd be like, let's go. It's going to be great. Because I would be experiencing that love for her and witnessing her and her joy. So I think it's reminding yourself that we get to feel joy too. You know, like some people might not have a problem with this, but some people may. So it's reminding yourself, like, we're supposed to feel love from ourselves to ourselves. And we are supposed to feel joy from ourselves to ourselves as well.
Yeah.
So I also really love cooking. Like, I love getting organic, fresh food and cooking everything from scratch and making beautiful meals. And that is something I used to pride myself on doing for others. And now I'm like, I am taking you to the kitchen, girl.
Yep.
We are going to cook. I call myself a single housewife. Like, that's literally what I call myself.
I love it.
Yeah.
Welcome to Morgan's cooking channel.
Cooking channel.
Do you do that? I do that with the kids sometimes and they think it's funny.
Well, since it's just me here, I do talk to the dog. And I'm like, Gracie, look at this beautiful meal. Don't you love it? I love it. But I could start posting photos of like Morgan's kitchen. We have tonight. Da, 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 da.
I think you should, because the meals you make are beautiful. And it gives
Thank you.
people inspiration.
Thank you.
Because we kind of tend to cook the same thing over and over, and it's like,
I'm so guilty of that. I can eat, thank God, like I take this as a blessing, but I can eat the same thing for weeks on end. So I'm meal prepping and I'm like making bland food, but I can do it.
Yeah, but if you like it, it's good for your body, then it's a win. But
I do like to make really rich, like roux, like sauces. That's my favorite thing to make. And then I put that over meat. I'm a meat eater, so like I love that. Yeah. My favorite thing. Good. What is the way that you practice self-love? And what does self-love mean to you?
I think self-love for me started with choosing myself.
Yep. Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't,
for
I
sure.
didn't know who I was. My brother was over one day and we used to get together all the time and drink wine. And he asked me the one time, he's like, what do you do for you that lights you up? What do you love? And I was like, I don't even know.
Mhm.
I didn't even know. I was like speechless. I'm like, you know what? Let me think on this and I'll get back to you. But what I've learned is it's so much more than just like a doing. It's like an embodiment of fully loving who you are. And I'm still working on
Yeah.
this, learning how I lead, what it means to be in my power, what it means to show up for myself and then for others, how I care for myself, like you said, self-care,
Yeah.
the needs, mind, body, and soul,
Yeah.
and giving myself permission to be everything that I am, and like unapologetically, like just show up as me in whatever state I'm in that day and own it.
Yeah.
That has been like a journey of mine for a long time. So I started celebrating self-love Sundays, which I've been sharing on my platform for years. And it just became a ritual that, okay, you have to take this time away from your husband, away from the kids, to nourish your soul. And now it's like a part of it's every day,
Yeah.
just like you. I meditate. I probably don't care for my body as well as I would like to. This is what I've been leaning into lately.
Mm-hmm.
You know, listening to good music,
Yeah.
having deep conversations with my friends, filling my body with good food, getting rest, just all the things.
I think it's really all, I mean, I didn't even think, I don't know where my head was at, but yes, meditation, being in touch with you is like the biggest part of it, right? Being in touch, like getting your nails done is great, but
feels good.
It's all important. Yeah. It's all important.
Yeah.
Being in touch with your soul. Like, what does your soul want from you? You know, what does it feel like to live in your heart? Are you following your heart?
Yeah.
And like, my whole life now is centered around this.
Yeah.
And like I cannot imagine living any other way. Like, anything that I do now, any choice that I make, any person that I meet, I'm like, is this aligned with my heart? Is this
how does it feel
serving? Yeah, how does it feel in my heart? How does it feel in my body? Are they like, even if I just like meet a stranger or meet somebody new for the first time and like start a friendship with them or whatever, it's like, is this aligned with how I am?
Yeah.
Now that I know who I am, because like you said, you didn't know who you were.
Yeah.
And like, where are their goals? What do they, where is their head at? Are they out like getting loaded every weekend? And if they are, there's no judgment. It's just not, that's not going to serve my highest intention for life, right?
Yep.
So like, is somebody else practicing living in their heart? Or it's so important. And once you turn that switch on with yourself, I think it's impossible. I mean, maybe not impossible, but I think it's really hard to turn it off. It's like, once you know what it's like to follow your heart, to be in your heart and to live on purpose, I don't know if there's like, how could you go back to ignoring that? It's like, once you wake up, you can't.
I don't think you will.
No.
You can't, because it's not going to feel good.
No, it's going to feel misaligned with who you are.
Yeah. And you'll feel it in your body. And it'll be like, ooh, this is not right.
And I think, I mean, I'm sure negativity and things that don't serve us can end up over time building on us. So I think that's why it's so important to have a self-love practice, is to make sure that you're like checking yourself, making sure that you're leaving the negativity at the door, you're leaving the drama and the chaos there, and that you come back to your heart and you're always living on purpose, with self-care, with self-love, trusting yourself, you know, living in your dreams and following your dreams and following your path. Like, leave that leave the drama and the nonsense over there. What doesn't, like, we cannot let that consume us.
Yep.
Because it can.
No. I agree. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our last topic for today, well, I think we've already got into it there, but it's following your heart.
Yep.
And like, yeah, I think we've wrapped that up well. And what does it mean to you to follow your heart?
Okay. This is a really great question.
Okay.
And the only way that I'm going to explain it is I tune in to, am I moving from a place of love or am I moving from a place of fear? That to me has been the driver, because our mind, which is our ego, which we know, like we need an ego, it's our personality, but our mind is always based off of like who, what, when, why, where. Or it'll start with like a what if, that kind of thing, right? And so it becomes of like, am I holding myself back because my mind is scared? What does it feel like?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like learning the difference of, okay, it may be a little bit scary, but also I still want to go this way.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's, for me, it's feeling. Like it literally, I navigate through feeling.
Yeah.
What about you?
Same.
Yeah.
I just want to touch on something you said. So our mind is our ego. Like, so our mind is also based on helping us stay safe, right? Safe. So our mind doesn't know anything else than what's previously happened to us in our lives, and it's calculating what is going to happen based on what has happened.
Yeah.
So, and this all ties into trust, right? So it's like, okay, let's say if you, like, let's set an example here. If there's something new you want to try in life, but your body, and so your body will react to your mind. So your mind's telling you, holy shit, well, I've never been there before. Like, this is going to be the narrative. I've never been there before. This is, I don't know, like, you want to go and try a new job. Ooh, like, I know that your heart is telling you to do so, but like, I don't know about that. Like, that is scary. No, like, we're not done that.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like, no, we're not doing that.
We're not doing that. Like, that is danger. It's like red flag. So, and that's all based on safety. But that's where we have to cultivate trust with ourselves. Like, okay, am I following my heart? Is this something that, like, my heart is calling, my soul is calling me to do?
Yeah.
And if it is, we have to, like, utilize trust in, if you guys believe in God, the universe, I do, so I'm going to say this, is we have to trust in, like, a higher power that, like, if our soul is calling us to do it, that it's meant for us.
Yeah.
And we have to trust and let go and say, okay, well, I'm gonna trust the calling. And so I think that following my heart is like learning how to listen to my heart, which means, like you said, not listening to your mind, not listening to the narratives and the ways that I get into my heart. Like, if you've never dropped into your heart space, because not all of us have, I would say meditation has been so helpful to drop into my body and out of this mind narrative of, I'm supposed to be doing this. Why is this not happening? All this, like, nonsense that goes on up here. But if you start to practice dropping into your body and learning what your heart is actually saying, then you can trust from that pull right there. Because you cannot trust from up here. That's not going to work out.
Well, and so I would go to the point of, so this is where the mind really, this is where we can take control of it, because I would go to the first initial pull. What is the impulse that I received to do? To get a new job? And then the mind creeps in, right? Yeah. So it's like our soul is, our heart is always guiding us to more, to grow, to expansion. And it will always feel a little bit scary.
Yeah.
And if we allow our mind to take over, it's going to be so scary that we are going to stay in the same spot until we get forced through change. And change is not always scary, but for most people, change is scary and uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And so it does come back to, just like you said, learning to trust yourself. Okay, yes, it feels a little scary. Yeah. It does feel a little scary, but I wouldn't have received the call to do this if it wasn't meant for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I there's what's the saying of your intuition talks, what am I getting at here? Your intuition, so your heart and your intuition speaks to you in statements.
Yeah.
And then your mind and your ego talks to you in phrases. So you're in what?
Questions.
But isn't it sentences too?
Well,
so like your
so
like your intuition's gonna be like, change your job, leave your partner, join this. Yeah. And then your mind's gonna be like, but oh my god, and all this stuff and blah blah blah, and like, but if you do this, it's just like, what was the first thing? So that's a really good way to drop into your heart. If you're like, well, I don't know what it feels like to listen to my heart, listen to the slow statements of like, I'm meant to go here, or I'm meant to change my job, or I'm meant to leave my partner. That is your heart speaking to you. Don't worry about like the big conversations that are happening up here that create fear and create worry. It's meant to help you. It really is meant to keep you safe, but you're never going to be able to live your fullest life if you are living in your mind or listening to your mind, because as you know, your mind creates anxiety.
It does. It creates anxiety in the body.
And I think that was like your biggest, you've overcome anxiety, and that's been your biggest, what was the word I'm looking for? Like your biggest story and triumph of the reason you created this masterclass for anxiety. Yeah. And yeah, like we're at the end of our topic, so if you want to share, if anybody wants to listen to what we're going to offer, let's share that. So why don't you talk a little bit about your anxiety class and how it's going to help people and how it has helped people in 24 hours?
So there has been moments in my life where there has been like a very pivotal experience.
Okay.
That has set my body into fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, it was because it was something that happened out of my control. Okay. So then, just like we said, our mind will try to practice forms of control by planning out what we do next, by trying to keep us safe, essentially. Okay. The more we allow our mind to run our life on default, more chaotic our body will feel, because there's a discord. There's a discord between the soul and the mind when that's happening, and we can feel it in the body. Yeah. So this masterclass, Peace is Free, I cultivated from life experience by learning what tools actually help to shift you out of a state of anxiety, to bring you back into your heart center, and to also prevent it from happening. And so I just combined them all and put them into 4 modules, which are pre-recorded videos. It's not very long. Like the videos are like 5 to 10 minutes long. Mm-hmm. And then I also recorded a 10-minute meditation that you can use anytime to bring you back into your heart center.
I love that so much.
I'm pretty lit up about it.
I'm so proud of you as well. You're welcome.
And you
yeah, so I recently just on Tuesday actually, I released a free It's free, so it's a free teaching on codependency.
Yeah.
And it's on my Instagram if anybody wants to watch it. It's really, it talks about like where codependency comes from and then what to do about it. Because if we're running on this codependency train of like needing other people's validation and then not getting it and then feeling like shit and then being stressed out and being anxious and being upset and then getting on these highs of, oh, somebody validated me, I'm so, it's like good, and then it's bad and that's good. You're like living on this train of, you're all over the place.
Yes.
Right? It's like you're not in your heart. Your nervous system is in fight or flight as well. So like these actually go together really
They
well. Like this, yeah, codependency and anxiety. Because, you know, when you're codependent, you have more than likely one of the people in this codependent relationship is going to have an anxious attachment style, which is where you're like freaking out all the time. You don't feel safe in your body. Yeah. Like I won't get into this because then I'll be on here for the next 5 hours, but
maybe that'll be the topic for the next one.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a free workshop on understanding what codependency is, if you are codependent, and then what to do about it. So it's free, it's up there if anybody wants to get into it. I think it's about 15 minutes long. So
here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
For the people who don't know what codependency is, can you just explain it to us?
Yeah. So I'm not a doctor or a psychologist, so this is coming from self-experience. But codependency is when your nervous system is, and the way that you operate is not based on you, right? Like it's based on somebody else. So for example, it would be, let's say if you were in a relationship with a partner and they were in a bad mood, and if you are codependent, you will then be in a bad mood because they're in a bad mood. It affects how you feel, and it affects how we all feel, obviously, if our partner's in a bad mood. But it's like to another level. It's like they're not okay, therefore I'm not okay.
Yeah.
So it's like this tie, you're like way too enmeshed with each other to the point where like you are not sure which direction you're going in. You don't know if you're coming or going, and your navigation system is going to be based on them. So you know, if they tell you whatever mood they're in, or if they do or don't tell you something, that's how you're going to base how you feel off of. And it's people who also are codependent also really need a lot of validation. So like, oh, they love me today. That's why I did this thing about Love is Blind, this video, because it was that scene of where Chelsea, I know you haven't seen Love is Blind, but somebody on here's watching it. Okay, where Chelsea was like, you didn't kiss me enough today. Like you didn't notice me, and she didn't feel validated as her own person. It was like, I don't feel validated because you didn't kiss me today. I'm not okay.
Yeah.
So that was such a good example of what it could look like. I have literally no idea what is behind the scenes of their relationship, obviously, but that's just a really good example of what it can look like. It's like, you didn't love me today, therefore I'm not lovable, therefore I'm not worthy, therefore I'm not good enough. Or you love me today, therefore I'm good, therefore I'm happy, therefore I'm excited, I can feel it all. But we have to cultivate that from inside, and it's so entirely possible. I'm actually thinking about releasing like a meditation of a visual that I use when I get triggered by these things.
Ooh, you should do that, Morgan.
Yeah, of like how you can, because you get like these highs from this validation from other people, because it's just like where you place your validation.
And like
you gotta place your validation.
So like you place your power in their hands.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
That's a really good way of saying it.
Gotcha.
You place your power in somebody else's hands instead of inside. And if you haven't cultivated self-trust, or like you just don't have any any idea who you are. Like it's who you are is based on what Joe Blow's going to say, or what your dad's going to say, or what your partner's going to say, or whatever, or what like you're wearing, and if somebody else likes it. It's not about what you want, because what you want is what they want. So there's my long-winded explanation.
I'm glad you cleared that up. So you have a mini teaching on your Instagram about codependency.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is, look at, we're like exactly an hour, like to the minute. This is beautiful.
Beautiful.
Okay. I think we can close this, and this has been a beautiful conversation today.
I love it.
On the full moon.
On the full moon. Yeah.
Precise timing, so Virgo.
Hey.
Okay, I love you so much.
I love you so much. Have a beautiful day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.